So let me ask you a quick question. If you are teaching geometry and you're getting all the Algebra 1 students and a student comes in with a C, what do they know how to do? What processes do you know for sure they know how to do because they got a C? You know, that's the problem. So in my school, and I haven't been there for a while, but we had everybody teach Algebra 1. One class of it for sure. Because we thought it was the most important thing. We got together and we talked horizontally, articulated on best practices and how to teach the best way and so forth. And we decided that we wanted to make sure that the kids at the end of the year could prove mastery in the essence of Algebra 1. Does that make sense? And so that when they walked into the next class, the teacher would have a thing saying these were the essences and these are the things they mastered, rather than an A, B, C, D kind of thing, you know, even though they did get their grades. So we would make templates of different kind of things you do in Algebra 1, okay? And then everybody would be in charge, once we made the template out, of making test A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, for how many times they take it before they mastered that particular. So we were cutting trees down like crazy, and at that time had the, I think it was a TI-83, 82 or 83 one, I can't remember the first ones we had. But I started writing the masteries on the calculator so that the teacher didn't have to do it. It would automatically come up with a test, and it would grade it, and the kid would just show the teacher the calculator that they had mastered the thing, and whatever it was. So that's how I got involved in this whole thing. And then when the Nspire came out, I decided that I would learn how to program the Nspire, and I did that, and I realized I hated it. And then they came out with Lua, which is another language that is working in the background, that I really like, because I can do all my stuff and have the tests all ready to go, and you can't cheat and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you those programs. On this piece of paper, I have on here 40 plus different mastery tests that have to do with 6th to 9th grade levels. For instance, if you find the one that says page 1 masteries 1 of 4, this would be the first clue. I wrote arithmetic tests, and I wanted to start at the 6th grade level where they hadn't been introduced to negative numbers yet. In other words, they knew how to do 9 minus 7, but they really weren't into that 7 minus 9 yet. So when I wrote these, the idea it would step up each time in terms of it. Now, I'm going to show you what I do as a teacher before I pass out my mastery test through the Navigator or through the, however you've got your calculators. I'll bring up a program I have, and this is a teacher requirement, almost every time you do one of my programs is that you have to prepare the program for distribution. So what we're going to do is we'll go into Mastery Test 8, and I'll show you what you do. Every page always starts with my information on it so that you can contact me, and I'm constantly, if I find bugs or I find a new way of doing something or whatever, I update them. So I have a website, and that's on the paper, I think. Yes, on there, dsmeltz.eboard.com. So if you check there every once in a while, you can see if there's an update to any program in terms of what they are. But as a teacher, before I pass this out to the students, there is a page on here where these are teacher preferences in terms of what you want the kids to do that particular day with it, or that particular student. So you can see here, I can set up how many problems they're going to do. Now this particular one is in Algebra 1 class. This is the very first thing I gave them in my freshman class. Okay, they can't do anything in algebra without being able to spit out very quickly, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, positive, negative numbers. So this was the first thing they had to do. In my classroom, on the first day, I gave them their 80, in this case, maybe 83, 84 calculators, and they had to do 50 problems for me of add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay? And then once they got proficient at being able to do 50, then they were timed. Mastery was doing 46 out of 50 in 5 minutes. Okay? That meant they could do it off the top of their head. Remember, when I say mastery, you either have it mastered or not. So you have to do it ad nauseum until you master it. And it's something they had never done in their life before. They just were given a test. If they didn't do well on the test, what did they do? Well, yeah, and they went on to the next thing no matter what. The car was moving. So if you saw a Fremont, it was gone. You're in Toledo now. So here's what I would do. I would set this up and I say, okay, I want you guys to do 50 problems. And I want the largest number that you're going to use in the beginning to be 10, so that you're only doing numbers from -10 to 10, okay? I can also say, if my class was having trouble with addition or subtraction or any one of these, I can turn these on and off. Right now, with ones, they're all turned on. Does that make sense? And so you just click the slider. So for instance, if I didn't want to do any addition today, I could turn this one off and make it a 0, so it wouldn't come up. Now, once I've got those set, do the control up arrow here, and you can see there's the page I'm on right there, and I'm just going to delete it. By deleting it, they can't change the parameters. You see what I mean? And all of my programs are read-only, which means I can't save this under the same name, so I would give it a specific name. So I have two choices. I can either save this, or I can just send it out to the class right now. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and send it to you. And you can just hit open when it gets to you. And if you're not logged in, get logged in, and then it'll come open to you. Okay. So we'll grab a person here once we get these screens captured up here. Now before you start, I'm just going to have a person here be my presenter for a minute so I can show you something that is kind of cool. Because you know this has got a scratch pad on it, don't you? So if there was 6 minus a -8 or whatever, they go to the scratch pad, do 6 minus a -8, figure out the answer, and go back to the page, right? Okay, so let me see, whoever this is, you need to know because you're my presenter person. So the name was Harry. Okay, it's Harry doing this one, okay? So Harry, go to the next page. Control right arrow, I'll get you the next page. And almost all my programs are set up this way. To start the test, you press the escape button. Okay, so everybody just watch Harry right now, okay? So press the escape button, and we get our first problem, okay? Now, Harry doesn't know the answer to this one. He doesn't think he does. So he's going to go to the scratch pad. So Harry, hit the scratch pad button over here, and go to the scratch pad, and type in 3 times a -4. And press enter. Okay, -12, good. Now go back over to the document. So you can, I think you can escape out of this. Oh, it starts the test over again. So if they leave it, they lose the ability to go back and finish their test. So they only do that once at most, okay? So, because, you know, the thing of it is it's not, you know. Okay, now as a teacher, I'm going to have Harry do a few problems. So Harry, get some right and some wrong right now, just as quick as you can, okay? And by the way, if you get it right, it just goes to the next problem. Says, great, now do this one. Do this. That way they're not slowing down. They can go as fast as they want. Do just a couple more. Then I'm going to show you why I want you to see this ahead of time, okay? Because we're going to take the test, and I have a prize for the fastest, the best score, okay? So stop for a minute here, and just go over to page 1.3. On page 1.3, control right arrow, should be able to get you there, is every problem that Harry missed. So here's the problem, here's what he should have put in, and here's what he put in. So I go around as a teacher to every student when they finish their test or whatever, and I can go and I can say, okay, well, what do you think? Was this just a brain fart? Or was there a problem here or whatever? And maybe you can even see some trends. Here's the other thing I didn't mention. On these particular tests, if they miss it, it keeps track of it and randomly comes back and asks them that same question again. So that I tell them, it's okay to mess up, but learn from your mistakes, okay? So, Harry, go back to page 1.2. And of course, there's a new test there now. But by the way, those problems are there until until you reset the test and everything like that. So I can see those if I want to. So we're going to take a little test to see how everybody does, and we'll give a prize for the best score, okay? So now don't press escape, and so you're all on the same page. Now how do I know you haven't pressed escape yet? Because I can look at all your screens. We can see if anybody cheated here. See if everybody's on the same. Okay, so we can see Patricia, Chloe. And if you want to get back to that, press the escape button. or in that case, it would show you new one. Just leave the page and go back to the page if you want to. That would do it for you too, okay? All right, so we're going to be off and running here and allow you guys to take the test. Now, I said this particular test, and by the way, all the arithmetic tests are 46 out of 50 in 5 minutes. It's the only time test I do, but these are very important, aren't they? I had a girl, just to give you a clue, I had this girl in my class that in the first day, in 5 minutes, she got 11 of these done. Now think about that, okay? So her parents bought her a calculator, I loaded my programs on it, and she practiced at home. I had never have, by the way, in all my mastery tests, everybody masters them sooner or later. Because they have that Game Boy mentality. Kids have that. They'll play a game, and if they get killed, they'll go back and they won't make that same mistake again. And that's what is nice about the mastery test in this level, is the fact that we have this Game Boy mentality going on. Okay? So, I'm not going to give you the full 5 minutes, but we'll be able to translate, because the other thing I do is I keep track of the best score in the classroom, because once they master it, and we're doing this for a while, because I usually do mastery tests until 50% of the class has got it mastered, then we move on, and if they come in on their lunch periods and everything else to do it. But I always keep Lucy or Desi or whoever it might be, the most problems done in 5 minutes perfectly with no mistakes. And they love to get that name up there. So that gives them another challenge. And you also notice I can up the numbers. I mean, not very many people know 13 times 17 off the top of their head right now. Because it's not, you know, we only worry about those small numbers in terms of what we're doing, okay? All right, so get ready to press escape. Go. Five, four, three, two, one, stop. Okay. So we have our things up here. By the way, you know, when you're teaching middle school compared to high school, you guys know the difference. Middle school kids all want to see everybody's names, and high school kids don't want to see their name ever. Don't ever turn them on to that. So the idea is what's the best score here, right? Now remember, I gave it to you for 2 minutes, so you had 2/5 of the time. Think about how many problems you were able to get done, you know, in that amount of time. It's not undoable. It never was, and the kids felt so good when they mastered something. So much of the time, and my son, I learned from my son's teacher's mistakes in terms of my own teaching, in terms of trying to keep kids, we want to empower kids, we want to keep kids turned on to mathematics, and the easiest way to turn them off is failure. See, to me, success is just a matter of time. It's not a matter of not or yes or no being able to do it. And so that's what's nice about the mastery test with these kind of concepts with it. But we're all over the place in terms of scores. There's a 45 out of 45, a 48 out of 48, a 49 out of 49, Or is it 50? Oh, on a 48. And did you notice a little bar here that was keeping track of your percentage? I was trying to do some extra stuff to make it a little livelier for you, for it there. And looks like it's 50, 49 out of 50, 49 the highest? I think so. And the second highest would be 48 out of 48, right? So who's Harry? Harry, I want to give you this fabulous universal ruler with a T-square straight edge and compasses all built into that. And who's Kenny? Kenny, you get this fabulous Fort Hayes Mathlete pencil. I used to give these out. I bought a bunch of them because I wanted the kids to ask questions. And if they ask a great question, they could get a pencil. Or if they did something really cool, then they were mathletes. Because Fort Hayes didn't have any. We had no sports there. So they were just mathletes or they weren't anything. All right. So if you look at the sheet, arithmetic 6 just doesn't have negative numbers. Arithmetic 7, the answer could be negative. Arithmetic 8, there's no bounds on the numbers there. And then arithmetic 9 adds an x. So the problems would now state the same thing you did with x's involved. So they have to get used to x times x. It's going to be x squared. They have to get used to x divided by x. You know, the x's will go away and stuff like that. That's just the basics of that. Now, if you look at the fraction masteries, there is a plethora of different ones there based on what their, the level of which they're working on the problems. There's add and subtract. Then I have multiply and divide problems as well. And I can't show you everything today, so I'm going to kind of hit or skip around. I'll tell you what, let's just take a look at one, okay? Notice that add, subtract fractions, the first one's common denominators with proper fraction answers. And then the second one, the B part, says it's the same as that one, but the answer could be mixed number form and so forth. So pick one out of those, look at those, and tell me which one you want me to do to show you, and we'll go through it. Is there anyone specific that you want to do? Well, I tell you what, since you can't make a choice, we'll do the very simplest, okay? Now, like I said, there's always going to be a page like this that's teacher preferences, okay? The number of problems that you're going to do, and then the largest, in this case, it would be the largest denominator that the student would have. Now, this particular one here is the one where it's common denominator, so it won't be extremely hard on you to do these problems, okay? So I'll leave that at there and give you 5 problems just so you get a feel what it's like to do the test, and you can give me some feedback here, okay? But again, what would I do as a teacher? I would erase this page first. And how do you erase a page? Hit the control up arrow so you can see all the pages at once, and make sure you're on the right page. And that's, you can see the blue highlighted thing around this page here. So I'm going to hit the backspace key, and pretty much that means it's gone. Okay, so let's go back. And this, by the way, this was an explanation page, and it says right on it, calculate your answer in a reduced form and enter the numerator and denominator. Press enter button to check your answer. You may also use the up-down arrows to shift from numerator to denominator and enter to move through the inputs. So we'll check this out. Warning, press escape to start the test, it says there on that one. So this one, notice, doesn't have anything in front of it, but when I press escape, in fact, I'm going to press escape. Look at all the different problems that are coming up. So you can see the escape is actually starting the test over too. So if the student gets through part of the test, they can hit escape and start over, because if possible and they correct at the bottom, we'll go back to 0, 0 form. So I'm going to send this to you, and I want you to play for just a couple of minutes, and you can raise your hand and ask me questions. I think it's going to say open, so you can just go right to it that way. Did anybody not get one of these sheets of paper? there's a mistake right there. You see that? Didn't reduce it. By the way, if you didn't press escape when you started the test, there are flaws that need to be reset on an escape. So this person do the escape. Who is this? I don't want to. Penny, go ahead and hit your escape button and start over, would you? Okay, now do it.
What if you get an answer of, so let's say 5/5? You really want to put 1 in, so it gives it to you as a fraction.
You put in 18/18.
But I haven't hit enter yet.
Okay, put 1 in the new. Well, you can go back up. So you can use your arrow keys to go back up and put a 1 in there instead if you want to. And put. It was. Try that and see what it says when you do it.
That's how I do it.
I think that and I'll check that. That test was supposed to give all proper fraction answers, so you put a key to 1. If you miss one, go to the next page and look at your problem. So Penny, is that you? Who's done? Okay, go to the next page. You didn't miss any. If you'd have missed one, we would have seen the problem and what you put in your answer too. So we would have seen that over here. You might want to just try one and just see what it looks like. Go back to the previous page and just miss one and go over to that page.
So
Press escape.
if the answer is 12/12, you have to put 1 over 1.
I was wondering about that, yeah. So you should show me.
But the answer was 3/4.
I had one of that on.
It said it should have been
It's nice to
40
show
over
me.
64.
It was supposed to be one up.
See, because I had one that the answer
It
did.
was a simple 5 to 3.
And it was 8 to 13, select 13.
Well, what I tried to start,
And it says no, it's
Did you press escape at the very beginning when you started the test, or did you start at the bottom? The escape cleans up its brain. There's fog in there when you first turn it on. So that's why it said warning, press escape to start the test.
Well, I did, and it didn't start.
yeah, it wouldn't go for me either.
Well, but you had to turn to the next page.
You have to press escape on that page.
Yeah.
On the actual test page.
Want me to do one
I'll
more?
fix that though, because most of them now read press escape on front of the page before you start, so I don't even have to worry about it. But this particular one wasn't updated. I'll make sure that it's updated. That's why I say when I update these things.
Yeah.
Did you go to the next page and take a
So we
look?
make this wrong, right?
Yeah.
But then when I went to the next page, nothing was there.
Okay. Well, you might have to stop the whole test before it puts them all in.
Oh, okay.
So you've only done one problem. Just miss them all. What the heck? Just put in numbers. It's easy to miss them, isn't it? There's not a lot of thinking going on when you miss them.
No, I'm making a pattern for you to discover what I did wrong.
Okay, go to the next page.
I just wanted that page, it's not there. There it
Yeah.
is.
So there's what they were expecting for an answer, and here your answer is over here. Okay, so that's cool. I'll make a note of that though, because I didn't know that 1A wasn't fixed, so I'll double check that and make sure that we get that.
So is this what she was talking about?
It's
Like the
5/17
answer-
plus 4/17, sure,
So it gave
9/17.
me that the answer was
Right,
right.
I first one did that too.
Yeah, did you press escape in the very beginning on this page? On this page? on the other
My
page.
test was over, and then I hit enter to start a new one, but I
I'll
needed to
check it.
escape that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except she get those results. Mine was just blank.
You have to finish the whole test, I think.
Oh, because they were wrong.
Yeah, these are, well, it doesn't put the right answers, because it figures the student doesn't need to have it. All right, I want to go on because I want to make sure that we get a lot of programs looked at, but I want to make sure that you understand the concept behind these. But let me go to one in this one. This is fraction decimal percent. Just take a look at it real quick. Let me go back over here. See, this one's fixed. We'll leave. This has difficulty levels in terms of the problems. So 1 is a beginner, and then you can go up to level 5, so you can change the levels as a teacher. And of course, you'll learn about these as you use them, but I'm going to keep it level 1 just to give you an idea of what it looks like on here. Okay, so it either gives you the decimal, the percent, or the fraction, and then you have to fill in the rest. Does that make sense? So what would I put in for the fraction? 1 over 10. And then here, and I can put 0.1 if I want. Okay, let's miss one. Okay, 3/8 is 0.375, isn't it? And what percent would that be? 37.5%. Notice I've got it, I think I've got it set for the percent signs there so I don't have to add that. Okay, now notice I missed it on purpose. I put 0. Let's see what it does once they're all filled in. Okay, so it does come back. The thing that's nice, and you know, you've given quizzes before and stuff like that, and you grade them, and then you pass them back the next day. The difference here is the kids are getting instant feedback on this, and they like that. Also, it's very private, and they can learn from their mistakes up close. A lot of the programs where the problems get harder, it actually, and I'll show you, actually it says press enter to see why the answer was what it was supposed to be. But I thought this is kind of a nice thing for the middle school, changing from one to the other. And by the way, in this, I want to stop for a second and talk to you about random number generators. The calculator all my programs use random number generators, so that you never get the same test. Two people sitting beside each other wouldn't get the same, unless you reset the calculators, or you have them all set to the same random number generator. I want to explain this to you just real quick, okay? So you can try it at the same time. We'll have somebody be our overhead person so that we can see this in action, and you can understand, because this is something most people don't think about, and it's true on the 8384 calculator as well. So let me just, who's Andrea? Okay, Andrea, you were Bethany, I thought.
I thought so too.
Okay, so everybody do the same thing. Hit the home button. And then hit 1 for new document. And then type in, and then do the calculator. So, Andrea, hit 1 and no, and then add calculator. Okay. Okay. Go to the menu and go to probability and go down to random, number 4. And notice there's a random number and a random integer. You have a lot of different ones here. So let's just do random number 1. And notice that's rand. Okay. What does it need inside for rand? Is it 2 numbers, the beginning and the end? So type in 0, 1. I think that's the way rand works. By the way, if under the catalog, under your book, it would instantly show you what you need to put there. Comma is down here beside the O below the pi. Press enter and see if that works. Too many arguments. Okay, excessive arguments. Okay, good. Okay, we're going to show you how to cheat on this. Go ahead and back up while I'm at, and don't put anything inside for right now, and press enter. Okay, and press enter a couple times.
If you just put 1 number, because I backed out the 0 in the comment.
Okay.
Put 1.
Okay. So notice these numbers and look at your numbers. Are they different than you?
I'm the same. I'm the same.
Okay. Here's why they could be the same. The random number generator starts in a position, it has an algorithm how it's going to calculate the last random number from the previous random number, even though it's very random in the way it does it. It still will do this. So the idea behind it is I don't want any 2 calculators the same. If you go, you go to the back side and you press the reset button, that resets the calculator to default. And if we all did that, all of us would have exactly the same numbers here. But there's another way to do that too. I want you to do this for me. Go to the menu and go down to probability again, and go back to random, and go to, you see the word seed down at the bottom, 6. Okay? Now type, everybody type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an easy one to put in, and press enter. And notice it says done. That means that it actually has now set everybody's random number generator to exactly the same thing. So hit your up arrow twice and get on top of this word rand. And press enter. And that's just a cut and paste to bring it back in. And press enter 3 times. Now does everybody have those same numbers? Okay? See what I mean? So you don't want that. You don't want the kids to have their calculators all being the same and everything. So here's what I do. Go back and get the random seed thing again. I was in Lansing, Michigan, and working with these middle school kids, and this was the first thing we did. I said, okay, everybody, I want you to come up with 5 distinct digits right now. Just any 5, like 1, 3, 4, 2, whatever. Now, you know, some kids type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do that. Just type in any number, you know, you want on your own. Doesn't matter what number it is. Then I said, okay, your next 2 digits is the month you were born. So if it's March, it'd be 03. If it's November, it's 11. And then there's always kids, I'm April, what's mine? So, you know, you work with the middle school kids on that. And then type in the day, the 2-digit day you were born, okay? Now remember, I'm doing these with kids because they think we're going to play a game and everything like that. And they don't know I'm trying to get their calculators to be all funky and different and everything. So press enter. Now, go back up to the rand again, hit that rand thing, and press enter 3 times. Come on, Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Enter 3 times.
No.
Okay, look at your numbers and look at his. Are they different? Okay, now you know you need to do this with your class, or you don't want to do it yourself. Just have one class do it and have them type in a number. Just something you can put in that would make them all different. Is all I worry about. Jeff?
Just because I'm geeky like this, so I'm going to ask a question. Can in your program you set the random seed to be a random number?
No, that's the only problem. Because it would take whatever the calculator is set on and use that random number. I mean, that's what I'm doing. The only thing you use is an internal timing clock to do it. In other words, I think this has got a clock in it. Does this one have a clock? I think it does internally in the Lua language. There is a way for you to do that internally. I just haven't done that for this part of it. So check on that for me, Jeff, would you, and get back, because that is something that would be nice.
I have them put in their phone number, including area code.
Yeah, anything to be different, for the kids to be different, okay? And I tell them I want you to be unique, and your numbers are going to be special just to you because of the number you typed in. Okay, so everybody got that? This is a very important point, because if you take your calculators and you reset all your calculators, and then you give the test, everybody will have the same test. Does that make sense? Good, okay. All right, so I have to show you this one, and it's on, this is on, well actually, I have you play a game first. And I'm going to give you 2 different levels, because I watch The Price is Right all the time, and so I wanted to emulate The Price is Right game for myself, and plus, you know, I'm in airports a lot, so I write things for myself to keep myself busy, or I'm writing programs and things, so. Let me go back here and get this one for you. This is guess my number first, then we'll do guess my fraction, because guess my number is the easy one. Go back to the arithmetic test. By the way, my website has all these for you, and then of course I keep it updated. So I'm going to send this to you. Let me just give you a clue. You remember I talked about the teacher? Here's the teacher, where the teacher comes in. You can set the smallest number that they're going to guess and the largest number. So I've got it set at -100 and 900 right now. And I have it set at beginner because it gives you a little extra information on the side that makes it easier for you to guess the numbers, okay? It gives you hints. Whereas if you set it to 1, it doesn't give you that extra stuff. So we're going to let you guys be cool and get this. So what do? Control up arrow and get rid of this page. And then I'll send it to you. Now, because you all randomly set your calculators different, you're all guessing a different number. So go for it. And by the way, if there's 1,000 numbers, what's the, unless you're lucky, what should you be able to get it in? This is a Price is Right kind of question. What you, 1,000 number total, how many guesses should it take you
10.
maximum? Okay, go ahead and do it. What is 2 to the 10th, everybody? 1024, and that's why. We should have a price for the least number of guesses, shouldn't we?
I like that bar at the top. Holding in on it.
Yeah, it shows you you're honing in. It gets very thin at the end. What kind of reasoning are the students using right now?
Greater than less than.
Indirect reasoning, isn't it? Where you're making an assumption, and if it's proven false, you know that you're going to be looking further. I have one person got it in 9, 2 people got it in 9, one person got it in 7. One person got it in 31. No, I'm just kidding. 5, there's a 5 up there. By the way, if you get it in 5, you just lucked out, right? I mean, you know, you might have just accidentally hit it.
No, I'm just.
But that still
I just
deserves a prize, don't you think? What I should do, to be fair, is the number of miles you drove to come here divided by your score. The highest number wins. So if you came 500 miles and you took you 50, you still only get a 10. Okay, do you understand how it works, right? Because we don't want to spend a lot of time, because this is easy, isn't it? This is easy peasy for you guys. In fact, the kids, I said there's a secret, and I want you to discover the secret as you're playing the game. And some of them came up, they figured it out. I need to cut this list in half every time. I don't want to go, if it's from -100 to 900, I shouldn't start guessing at 800. I should start somewhere in the middle. And then I cut away half the list, you know, kind of thing. So who had the 5? Who was it? Who came the furthest to get here? Tell me how many miles. Who came the furthest to come to the convention? You guys deserve a prize just for that. Okay, Puerto Rico wins. Anybody? Australia? Anybody? You win. I knew she won because I talked to her before. All right, now the hard one. And by the way, I didn't realize this until I had my brother play. We were going down to Huntington, West Virginia, to the conference. I'm a barbershopper, and we had a big convention in Huntington, which you can't get there. You have to go somewhere else and start from Columbus. It's not easy to get to Huntington. But I gave him this. I said, here, play this test. I want you to tell me your reaction. It's guess my fraction. And I found something out that I didn't understand. My brother, by the way, was a teacher, but he was an auto mechanics teacher. It might not mean anything to you now, but it won't in a minute. So this one is in the fractions one. Guess my fraction. Okay, there's parameters here. Okay, notice that under this, the one thing that the teacher is setting is the largest denominator possible. So right now I've got it set on 15ths. So it could be, the denominator could be anything from 2 up to 15, basically. And again, if I said, I should let you guys do it on the non-beginner level, but I'm gonna let you have the beginner because it gives you more information on the screen to help you. It kind of massages you a little bit there, doesn't it? Here's the thing. In auto mechanics, if you think about it, now wrenches, think about wrenches for a minute, okay? There is no 1/3 wrench. There's no 4/15 wrench. So when he said, what's a number between 1/8 and 2/8, it was 3/16. That was it. You know, or you went to 30 seconds, but you didn't talk about the other ones. And I didn't think about this, so I'm going to rewrite it. You can, as a teacher, you can toggle it between common fractions and any fractions with it, okay? Because I think there is, you know, these are hard for some people. Me, sometimes. So I'll leave this as I do it, and I'll go up here and erase it and then send it to you. It doesn't matter. All right, so we go ahead and try this one out. Now we're going to go over to the algebra stuff for our last 15 minutes here. This definitely deserves a prize. By the way, if your first problem was 1/2, and that was the answer, go for another one.
How do I get back?
Press escape. Press escape for a new test. Because it does them randomly, it can be a very easy one or a very hard one, so you never know. And by the way, this is I'm not worried about a master app. This is a fun day for the kids, you know, where we've been working with fractions and everything, and I want them to be able to, because they would never do this, you know, otherwise. But on here, they'll sit there and play with this calculator all day long. Oh, no. Yeah, contact me, would you? By the way, once this happens, unless we save it, there's no way to fix it. So who were you? I can send it back to you. What's your name?
Lucy.
Lucy? Okay, Lucy. Do you remember what you typed in?
0.5.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I gotta be careful people putting in decimal fractions.
It gave a message when I did that. Went off the page, came back to the page. Sorry.
Were you able to escape it?
I didn't just press escape, maybe. I went off the page and back on, and then...
Did it rewind?
Then you can press escape and start.
Okay,
Maybe.
all right. Anyhow, I didn't.
What?
Okay, We got to move on. Do you see how this is different? Because your brain isn't thinking about the same concept here as it was with the numbers. I mean, the integers, it was pretty easy to do that. With fractions, it's a little more thought process and going in there, especially when you say, there's no way 2/7 is between this and this, you know, kind of thing, when you're doing it. So, okay. I think estimation skills are important, too. So I wrote this program specifically for that in mind. It's under the Algebra 1 Masteries, even though it's not. I don't think you would consider it here, but I want you to see how cool this is. Let's see. Problem count is 10. Yeah, 10 would be good for you to practice with. These are A% of B, E is C problems, where A, B, or C is missing. But you're not doing the problem. You're looking at it and estimating the answer. So, you can change the percent. I got it up to a maximum of 200%. I remember Canon Camera where they had this table in a Kmart or something that said 110% off, and people come up and say, how much is it going to cost me then? No, we give you money. Just remember that.
Nobody got that either.
All right, here you go. Going along with this, there's also a percent test where you actually do the percent problems. But this is one we're just getting them to estimate. Do you see, I mean, do you like that concept? Okay, we're moving on. You guys can work as long as you want. I'm going to go ahead and pull up another one here for you. Composite and prime numbers. Composite and prime numbers, you know, is to me a pretty important thing to know, where they build the factor trees and stuff like that. So what do I do on this? Problem count, largest base. You can set any base you want for the largest part of the composite number you want. So what it does is it builds a composite number based on the bases, or the prime numbers, up into including 7 in this case, okay? And you can make that any size you want. But largest exponent, I have set at 3 right now, and there is a beginner one on this as well. The beginner thing, and I'm going to go through and demonstrate it for you to see what it looks like on the beginner and non-beginner. Okay? So here's what you get at the beginning. Let me press escape, make sure we got it right. Okay. Factor this number 20. And so, and you notice I'm on the 2, and it says here, to change the factor, you use the right and left arrow keys and press enter to check your answer. So, like if I use the right and left arrow keys, see how it jumps from, notice it's only putting prime factors there, which is kind of cool, which it should. And you can put them in any order. So like if I pick the 5, I know there's a 5, and then I hit the down arrow and I say how many 5s are in there. Well, notice the remaining over there, okay? If I say there's 1, notice, now this is the beginning lever, notice it says remaining, there's there's only 4 left as a factor if you pull a 5 out, okay? So well, let me see, okay, that means there must be a 2. So if I go down here, now there's 2 remaining. Do you see how it's putting them in order down there as I put them in? And I just hit escape. Okay, so now you get the idea of this concept, that you build the kids in the beginning. So what I'm going to do to you is take away the beginner thing, just to make it a little more fun for you. So you won't see what you have remaining. And then, so you can't change it, I'm going to get rid of that page and send it to you. Because I know some of you teachers would cheat. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not really. Probably. I do have some higher level ones, but I haven't got as many because I've been concentrating on middle school and Algebra 1 specifically. But I've got one on logarithms, which isn't normally an Algebra 1 topic. And I have also on let me see, what's the, not prime factorization, because we're kind of doing prime factorization here. No, we're not. Well, not in the same way.
Have you made anything up for like, what's the sign of pi over 2 and things like that?
Actually, I had, there may be, they may have one of the trig ones, but I was going to work more on that after I got these done, because the fact that I want to have it where it's very random in how it generates the problems.
Oh, so I have to say or stay. That's not your part. Oh, then I just have to.
And then see how it's changing that?
By the way, do you notice no matter what number you type in, it puts all the factors in order from smallest to largest, the prime factors, so that's kind of nice. And then it goes the other way too, doesn't it? It shows you a lot of factors of 5 or 7, and then you have to figure out what it is for the x-axis. Okay, you've seen it, you've done it, we're going to algebra, some more algebra. Now, if you look on here, I have got a ton of things on linearity and solving equations and graphing and the distributive property and algebraic simplifications and things like that. There are 6 different linear graphs quizzes because it builds. It builds on from basically showing a line saying, does this have a positive, negative, undefined, or 0 slope? You know, kind of problems where they're visualizing it and seeing it to make sure they. Because I had kids that said, you know, the line like this, and they said, well, it's going uphill. So it must be a positive slope, you know, because they just didn't understand the concept of time going from left to right and so forth. So I want to just show you one of these. This is the highest level. Well, I'll show you the next highest level one first. Okay, the next page you'll find a test on your ability to determine the equation of a line given its graph. Note the y-intercept is most likely not an integer. So level 4, it was an integer. So they could look at the y-intercept and figure out the slope and everything like that. But on this problem, it gives you 2 points. It doesn't say what the points are, but it does allow you to observe. Now notice you can see that this particular line is not going to go through an integer location. Where are those points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, and 2, negative 2. So we can figure out our slope. We know it's got a positive slope, right? So we don't have to worry about that part. We can see that it is what? 2/5, isn't it? So 2 divided by 5x Now I'm stuck. I know it's negative, yeah. Now what I have, this is pencil and paper by the way as well. The kids have to write down the information, they have to do the work, so they turn the paper and the calculator into me as well. A lot of my tests are that way, the fraction tests are that way. They have to put the fractions on, show me the work they did. If it's sloppy, you didn't pass the mastery test, even if you got all the right answers. If I have CPAs, future CPAs that use OPA, and they've got this much of the, you know, here's a piece of paper, and everything is in that. I can't even, I have a magnifying glass. Okay, what do you think it is?
14/5.
14/5? Okay, so I'm not going to put 14/5 in. I just want to make sure I don't have the right answer. Now, see what it says down here? Sorry, the correct answer. It says press tab for a new problem if you don't want to look at what caused it, but press the down arrow key to see your work, to see the work that got it right. Let me see if this works. Okay, so given these 2 points and found the delta y and the delta x and found the slope, delta y over delta x, then using the point slope form of a line, it substituted in one of the points and that slope and simplified it using the distributive property down to the answer. So this is a backup help for them, because I think point slope is more important than even slope-intercept form of a line, because more chances than normal you hit those, don't you? Okay? Okay. Now, level 6 is given a point and a slope and an x-coordinate of another point, tell me the y-coordinate. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back and do another one. This one I think is awesome. It's a position mastery test. And actually this has a little lesson to begin with, relationship between a point and a line, and it goes through a complete understanding of the different forms of a line, and it talks about what does it mean to have a point on a line, and then shows you an example, and then it talks about, and then this has embedded questions in it for the kids to answer. I think this is self-test where they can look up their work. For instance, which one of those is true real quick? A2 is on the line y equals x minus 6. Now, you know the difference in Navigator. If there's circles, there's one right answer. If there's squares, there could be more than one right answer, correct? Okay. So then it's talking about being above a line and showing it, what it means to be above a line, and then asking you a question, which statement below is true?
If they were interested in it, so.
Okay, I'll let you think about it, okay? And then below, an example, and then a question about it. And then linear inequalities, and show you a dynamic visualization where the kids can move the point around. Look at the bottom of the screen. Y is less than x plus 1. And if I move over, y is equal to x plus 1. And then if I move over here, y is greater than x plus 1. So they get that inequality relationship with the equality, so they can see the relationship, okay? Then we go to the test. And it does tell them that 8 out of 10 is considered mastery on these. And then if I wanted to have 10 questions, notice I can move this up and down. And then I can erase this, by the way. And then we go to the question. So here's the first question. Is 7, 110 above, below, or on that line? Quickly figure it out. Seven plus 8 is 15 times 7, 105 plus 5. So is it 1, 2, or 3? It's 3. So you type in 3 and press enter. Okay? Now let's miss the next one. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm going to put in 2. It says press enter to see y. And it gives you, given this point in this line, when x is negative 10, you substitute in and it comes out as, so y is negative 59. Negative 10, negative 59 is on the line, so you should have entered 3. And it goes through that explanation for you and has that for you. A lot of them do have little helper things for the kids if they didn't get it right to make sure that they can learn from their mistakes. So, there is a lot more I didn't talk to you about on here, but they're all at the website, and you can download them, and then go to the website every once in a while and see new programs. Now, I have some things I don't have on there. Have you ever used word recognition programs? I just wrote 2 games where the teacher can type in header triangle and all the different kinds of triangles, and it scrambles the letters, and they got to figure out what the word is, or they can, it's a hangman game, although I made it where it's a person that loses body parts until they're gone, kind of thing. And then I have a new game out that I'm going to have for you. It's called Mirrors, and it's all about shooting into a 10 by 10 grid and knowing where the light goes in and where the light comes out on the grid. And there's hidden mirrors in there at angles. So just stay in contact with me. If you come up with something I don't have here that's for middle school through Algebra 1, I'll do those before I do anything else. If you come up with something you want to see that's not on here, but you can go through and play with these all you want when you get home. Be aware, and this is something important for you, on your home computers, unless they have fixed it in the last version, your computer always starts at the same number, random number generator on the computer, because you're turning your computer on and resets everything. I called TI and said, hey, you got to fix this. Every time I turn this on, I don't want my random number generator going back to the reset position, because then it's no fun for me to take something and do it on the computer. All right, I gotta let you go. So, thanks.